$232,000. That is the average 401k balance of an American who just turned 65. $232,000 after 40 years of work, after 40 years of contributions, after 40 years of doing exactly what every financial professional, every employer, every HR department told them to do. Max your 401k. Invest for retirement. You will be fine. Here's the problem. $232,000 generates approximately $9,280 per year at a 4% withdrawal rate. $9,280 per year. That is $773 per month from the account that was supposed to fund the rest of your life. The average American needs approximately $60,000 per year to maintain their standard of living in retirement. Social Security adds approximately $22,880. Combine that is approximately $32,000 per year. The gap between what they have and what they need is $28,000 every single year for the rest of their lives. And the 401k was supposed to fix that. It did not. My name is Miller, and I spend way too much time thinking about money and the gap between what people think their 401k will do for them and what it actually does. Hit that subscribe button because we do this every couple of days. And stay with me, because by the end of this video, you are going to understand exactly why the 401k is not the destination. It is the first step. And what 5 specific things you need to do alongside it so that when you are 65, you are not doing the math that Carlos Ray did on a Tuesday afternoon in Phoenix, Arizona, and hearing a number that changed everything. Let me start with Carlos. Carlos Ray has been selling insurance in Phoenix, Arizona for 32 years. He's good at it. He understands risk. He understands policies. He understands what happens to people who are not prepared for the unexpected. What Carlos did not understand, until it was almost too late, was his own retirement. Carlos and his wife Maria started contributing to their 401ks at 25. They did exactly what they were told, contributed consistently, never touched it, stayed the course through every market crash, reinvested every dividend. Maria teaches 4th grade, has for 30 years. She loves her students. She loves her work. But she does not want to be standing in front of a classroom at 67 because the math requires it. Combined income, $84,000. 2 401ks, contributing consistently for 30 years. Following every piece of conventional wisdom they ever received. 3 years before Carlos turned 65, he and Maria were sitting on the back porch on a Saturday morning in October. The weather in Phoenix was finally cool enough to sit outside. Maria had her coffee. Carlos had his. The kids were grown. The house was paid off. And they were talking about what retirement was going to look like. Maria said she wanted to spend 3 months in Spain. Her grandparents were from Seville. She had never been. Carlos said he wanted to learn to play golf properly, not the way he played now, badly and occasionally, actually properly. 3 times a week with time to practice. Carlos said, 2 more years and we are done. Maria smiled and said, 2 more years. They clinked their coffee mugs together on that October morning in Phoenix and believed it completely, because they had contributed to their 401ks for 30 years, because they had done what they were told, because nobody had ever given them a reason to doubt that the number would be enough. At 65, Carlos and Maria Ray have $287,000 combined in their 401ks. That is not a typo. $287,000. After 30 years of consistent contributions, after 3 decades of doing the right thing. And the reason is not laziness. The reason is not irresponsibility. The reason is a system that told them the 401k was the answer, without ever telling them the 401k was only part of the answer. Now let me introduce you to Patrick and Claire Brennan. Same city, same age, same year they started working. Same combined income, $84,000. Patrick is a staff accountant at a mid-size firm in Phoenix. Claire is a registered nurse at a hospital 20 minutes from their house. They have 2 kids, a mortgage, a dog. They are not wealthy. They are not extraordinary. The only difference between the Brennans and the Rays is one conversation that happened at a dinner party in 2012 when Patrick was 35 years old. A colleague sat down next to him and said, "Patrick, your 401k is not enough," and then spent 40 minutes explaining why. Patrick went home that night and opened 4 accounts he had never opened before. That 40-minute conversation is the difference between the life Patrick and Claire are living at 65 and the life Carlos and Maria are living at 65. Same income, same city, same starting point, one conversation. Let me explain the 401k problem clearly, because most people have never had it explained to them this honestly. The 401k is a magnificent tool. It is tax advantaged. It may come with an employer match, which is free money. It grows tax deferred for decades. It is one of the most powerful wealth-building instruments the American tax code has ever created, and it is not enough. Here is why. Problem 1. The fees are eating your retirement alive. The average 401k charges approximately 1% in annual fees. That sounds small. It is not small. 1% per year over 30 years reduces your final balance by approximately 28%. If your 401k would have grown to $400,000 with 0 fees, it will grow to approximately $288,000 with 1% annual fees. $112,000. Gone. Not to the market, not to taxes, to fees. To the fund managers who manage the funds your employer selected without your input. Carlos Ray did not know the fees in his 401k were 1.1% annually. He found that out at 64, 1 year before he needed the money. Problem 2. The 401k is fully taxable at withdrawal. Every dollar Carlos contributed to his traditional 401k went in pre-tax, which means every dollar that comes out gets taxed as ordinary income. If Carlos withdraws $60,000 in retirement, he does not get $60,000. He gets approximately $46,800 after a 22% federal tax rate. The account that looked like it had $287,000 effectively has approximately $223,000 in purchasing power. Problem 3. Required minimum distributions force you to withdraw money whether you need it or not. At age 73, the IRS requires you to start withdrawing from your 401k whether you want to or not. Those withdrawals count as taxable income, which means they can push you into a higher tax bracket, which means your Social Security benefits can become partially taxable, which means Medicare premiums can increase. The 401k is not just a savings account, it is a tax time bomb that most people carry into retirement without knowing it is ticking. Problem 4. Most people contribute far less than the maximum. The contribution limit for a 401k in 2026 is $23,500. The average American contributes approximately $7,500 per year, less than 1/3 of the maximum. $7,500 per year for 30 years. At 7% annual return grows to approximately $756,000 before taxes and fees. After a 22% tax rate and 1% annual fees over 30 years. The real purchasing power is closer to $490,000. Not enough to retire on $60,000 a year. Not even close. Carlos Ray understood all of this at 64. He called his financial advisor, the same advisor he had been paying for 20 years. And the advisor walked him through the numbers. $287,000 in the 401k. After taxes and fees, effectively worth approximately $210,000 in retirement purchasing power, at a 4% withdrawal rate that generates $8,400 per year. Social Security at 65, $1,907 per month, $22,884 per year. Combined annual retirement income, $31,284. Annual expenses for Carlos and Maria, $72,000. Annual gap, $40,716 every year for the rest of their lives. The advisor ran the projections. If they spent conservatively, their savings would last approximately 7 years. Carlos would be 72, Maria would be 72, and the money would be gone. Carlos thanked the advisor, hung up the phone, sat in his car in the parking lot of the insurance office where he had worked for 32 years. And then he called Maria. Patrick and Claire Brennan had a conversation on their back porch in Phoenix 3 months before Patrick turned 65. It was a Sunday evening in July, too hot to be outside really, but they had been sitting there anyway since the kids left for college and never quite stopped. Claire had a glass of wine, Patrick had a beer. The sun was going down behind the mountains. Claire said, "So what do we actually want retirement to look like?" Patrick said, "Honestly, I want mornings. I want to wake up without an alarm and drink my coffee slowly and not check my email until I feel like it. I want to coach Tommy's baseball league next spring because I've been watching from the bleachers for 6 years, and I know I could help those kids." Claire said, "I want to take my mother to Portugal. She has been talking about it for 20 years, and she is 78, and I do not want to wait any longer." Patrick said, "Then let us do both of those things." Claire looked at him and said, "Are we actually ready?" Patrick picked up his phone, opened his accounts, read the numbers out loud. Roth Individual Retirement Account, $412,000. Tax-free. Every dollar. Forever. Health Savings Account, $89,000. Triple tax advantaged. Available for any medical expense in retirement with zero tax. 401k, $614,000. Taxable brokerage account, $825,000. Total, $1,940,000. Patrick put his phone down on the table between them. Claire picked up her wine glass. Patrick picked up his beer. She said, "We can go to Portugal." He said, "And I am going to coach that baseball league." Same income as Carlos and Maria, same city, same 30 years of working. One conversation at a dinner party in 2012. Carlos Ray sits in his car for 23 minutes. He is 65 years old. He is parked in the lot of the Southwestern Insurance Group building where he has worked since he was 33. He knows every crack in this parking lot. He knows which spot gets shade in the afternoon. He has been parking in spot 47 for 11 years because it is close to the door and nobody else ever takes it. He's not looking at his phone anymore. He is looking at the building. He's thinking about the October morning 3 years ago when he and Maria clinked their coffee mugs together on the back porch and said 2 more years. He's thinking about Seville, about Maria's grandparents, about the fact that Maria has been talking about going for 30 years, and she has never gone. And he has been the one saying soon, after the mortgage, after the kids finish school, after the car was paid off, after retirement, soon. He is 65 years old. He has sold insurance for 32 years. He has sat across from thousands of people in this building and explained to them exactly what happens when the numbers do not work. He never ran those numbers on himself. Not because he was careless, Because the HR woman at his first job 30 years ago showed him where to sign for the 401k and said most people choose the target date fund. And Carlos signed and trusted and contributed for 30 years and never heard the word Roth, never heard the words health savings account, never looked at the expense ratio on his target date fund, never calculated the number he actually needed. He picks up his phone and calls Maria. She answers on the second ring. She knows from his voice immediately. He says, "I need to keep working. At least 3 more years, maybe 5. Maria does not say anything for a long moment. Then she says, "Carlos." "We did everything they told us to do." And Carlos says, "I know." He is still looking at the building. Spot 47, 11 years. That is not a Carlos Ray problem, that is a system problem. A system that handed him one tool and told him it was the complete solution. A system that profited from his contributions for 30 years without ever once sitting down with him and explaining what the complete solution actually looked like. Carlos trusted the system. Because why would you not trust the system? Here is what Patrick Brennan did differently. 5 specific things, none of which require earning more money, all of which are available to every American worker starting today. Number 1, he opened a Roth individual retirement account the same year he started his 401k. The difference between a traditional 401k and a Roth individual retirement account is the direction of the tax advantage. The 401k saves you taxes today. The Roth individual retirement account saves you taxes forever. Every dollar Patrick put into his Roth individual retirement account was taxed before it went in. And then it grew for 30 years completely tax-free. Every dollar of the $412,000 in his Roth individual retirement account comes out in retirement without a single dollar going to the IRS. Carlos has $287,000 in his 401k. After taxes, he has approximately $223,000. Patrick has $412,000 in his Roth individual retirement account. After taxes, he has $412,000. Same 30 years. Different account. $189,000 difference just from the tax treatment. The contribution limit for a Roth individual retirement account in 2026 is $7,000 per year. That is $583 per month. Most Americans who are contributing to a 401k can find $583 additional dollars per month if they prioritize it. Carlos never opened a Roth individual retirement account. Nobody told him to. Number 2, Patrick maximized his health savings account every year he had a high deductible health plan. The health savings account is the only account in the American tax system with 3 simultaneous tax advantages. Contributions go in pre-tax, reducing your taxable income today. The money grows completely tax-free inside the account, and withdrawals for qualified medical expenses come out completely tax-free. In retirement, medical expenses are one of the largest and most unpredictable costs. The average retired couple spends approximately $315,000 on health care in retirement, according to Fidelity Research. Patrick and Claire have $89,000 in their health savings account specifically designated for those costs, completely tax-free. Carlos has 0 in a health savings account. Nobody told him it existed. Number 3, Patrick chose low-cost index funds instead of the default target date fund in his 401k. The target date fund in Carlos's 401k charged 1.1% annually. The comparable index fund in the same 401k charged 0.03% annually over 30 years on the same contributions That difference compounds into approximately $94,000. Not because Patrick earned more, because Patrick paid less in fees. $94,000. The price of never reading the fund expense ratios. Number 4, Patrick opened a taxable brokerage account after maximizing his tax-advantaged accounts. Most people stop at the 401k. Patrick treated the 401k as the floor, not the ceiling. After maximizing his 401k and his Roth individual retirement account and his health savings account, he took whatever was left and put it into a simple, taxable brokerage account invested in low-cost index funds. That account has no contribution limits, no required minimum distributions, no early withdrawal penalties after 60, no employer restrictions on investment choices. It is the most flexible wealth-building account available to any American. And most people never open one because they assume the 401k is enough. Number 5. Patrick calculated his actual retirement number at 35 and built a plan to reach it. At 35, Patrick sat down and calculated what he would actually need to retire comfortably. He used the 25 times rule, multiplied his expected annual expenses by 25, got a specific number, wrote it down, and built a strategy designed to reach that number across multiple accounts. Carlos never calculated his retirement number until 64, 1 year before he needed it. The number was always the same. The difference is when you find out. Let me bring them both forward now. Carlos Ray is 67. He is still selling insurance in Phoenix. Not because he loves it the way he used to, because the math requires it. He and Maria have adjusted. They downsized. They cut the vacation budget. They told their kids not to expect an inheritance. They are not suffering. But they are not free. Maria has not been to Seville. She talks about it less now. Not because she stopped wanting to go, because Carlos looks tired in a way he did not used to. And she does not want to add to the weight of it. Every morning, Carlos gets up and drives to spot 47 and walks into the building and sells insurance. And every morning he wonders, what if someone had told me at 35 what Patrick's colleague told Patrick at that dinner party? Patrick Brennan coached the Youth Baseball League last spring. His team went 3-7. He does not care. He was on the field every Wednesday morning at 9. He knew every kid's name. He watched a 10-year-old hit his first real line drive in the 5th week of the season, and the kid looked at his own hands like he could not believe what they had just done. Patrick went home that afternoon and told Claire about it over dinner. Same income, same city, same starting point, same 30 years of working. 1 dinner party conversation, 4 accounts, 5 decisions, $1,653,000 apart. I want to say something directly before we close. Carlos Ray is not a cautionary tale about laziness. He is a cautionary tale about a system that told him one tool was enough without ever explaining the toolbox. The 401k is a magnificent first step. The employer match is free money that nobody should leave on the table. The tax deferral is real and valuable. But the 401k was designed in 1978 as a supplement to pension plans. Most pension plans are gone. The 401k became the primary retirement vehicle for most Americans without anyone updating the instructions. You were handed one tool and told it was the complete solution. It is not. The Roth individual retirement account exists. The health savings account exists. Low-cost index funds exist. Taxable brokerage accounts exist. Your retirement number exists. It is a specific calculable amount that you can know today. None of these things are complicated. None of them require a finance degree. All of them are available to you starting this week. Carlos Ray found out about all 5 of them at 64, 1 year too late to change the trajectory of his retirement. You are not Carlos Ray. You still have time. Open the Roth Individual Retirement Account this week. Look up the expense ratio on your 401k funds today. Calculate your retirement number tonight. Write it down. Put it somewhere you see it every day. The 401k is the beginning, not the end. And now you know the difference. Hit that subscribe button, because this is exactly what we do here. Every couple of days, we pull back the curtain on the financial decisions that are quietly shaping your life so you can see them clearly and make better ones. No fluff, no shortcuts, just honest conversations about money that most people are too uncomfortable to have. You found this channel for a reason. The next one might change everything.